we're ready to get it underway as Gostkowski booms this one 3 yards deep. And out of the end zone comes Riley McCarron. McCarron trying to find a little running room, and he's going to be tripped up shy of the 15-yard line. At the 13, the rookie from Iowa, stopped by Trevor Bateman as the Texans start at the 13. Miller on first down, wriggles his way forward to the 17-yard line. Malcolm Brown on the stop, and Griffin gets the nod at the tight end spot. For full bios and stats on each Texans player, visit HoustonTexans.com. On second down, quick toss and the catch by the newest Texan, Bruce Ellington, who makes a nice move, and he's got a first down out near the 30-yard line. First and 10 at the 29-yard line. And movement on the outside by Coney Ealy.
Ealy's one of the anchors.
Neutral zone infraction, number 94, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Part of the success of Bill Belichick over the years, limiting those penalties. So first and 5 now. The handoff to Lamar Miller, trying to find some running room, and he'll take it to the 36-yard line. Malcolm Brown again. Secondary, some positions to be battled for the Patriots as well. Savage, as the pressure gets picked up and has to float it before the secondary pressure comes in, and as Kyle Van Noy hits Tom Savage, the flag comes flying in from referee Walt Anderson.
Van Noy just a little bit too aggressive again. They're going to protect the quarterback in the National Football League.
Personal foul, roughing the pass, number 53, defense, driving the quarterback with his weight into the ground.
You know, defenseless players,
penalty,
chief among them,
down.
quarterbacks will be protected with a vengeance. It was part of our seminar. The NFL made it clear that quarterback will be protected, and I just got a little bit aggressive, a little bit late. It probably exploited a little bit more in the slow motion.
It's back to work in the shotgun. Savage floating it deep. Looking downfield for Ellington. One-on-one, and Bruce Ellington able to pull it in for a first down. Out at the 17-yard line.
You can see the matchup outside. It's just a little 9 route. Not even a hesitation. He just uses his speed to get up underneath and over the top of the coverage.
In the gun on first down from the 12. Great protection. Finally breaks down. Good coverage downfield, and the sack by Lawrence Guy. Second and 17 back at the 19-yard line. Savage again to the air, looking for Drez Anderson. Well covered along the sideline, but Stephon Gilmore. Long way to go to get to that first and 10 line. Third and 17. Savage over the middle, catch is made, trying to break free, and does, is Ellington. And Ellington inside the 10 and down near the 9. Short of the first down. Ellington and Strong to the top of your screen. Lamar Miller with the carry, and he's short of the first down. At the 6-yard line, Van Noy there to stack up Lamar Miller, and the Texans are turned away. Tom Brady on the field making his preseason debut. And on first down, Brady will just throw this one away. Rob Gronkowski also on the field. That pass intended for Julian Edelman.
Joe Montana in his hip pocket is the greatest of all time.
The toss to the sideline. The catch made by one of the newer Patriots, Brandon Cooks, who makes the catch in front of Kevin Johnson. Johnson brings him down short of the first down.
The bread and butter since Moss was here. He may be the solution.
On third and 3, out of the backfield comes James White, and White with a first down up the sideline, chased out by Eddie Pleasant. It's in motion. Burkhead the carry. Little bit of a crease, and Burkhead down to the 25-yard line. A pickup on the play of 8, Bernardrick McKinney.
Along with the Bernardrick McKinney and company, have got to find a way to slow down this rush game.
On second and 2, Burkhead again, and there's a good way to slow it down, J.J. Watt.
Penetration is the cure-all. Number 90
for Brady and the Patriots in a scoreless first quarter. Pressure coming. Brady gets rid of it off the hands of Edelman and incomplete. Ryan Allen to punt. Tyler Ervin back deep. Ervin from the 23. Looking for some running room. Nice little cut. And Tyler Ervin just tripped up near the 40-yard line. Excellent return from the 42 on first down. Savage finds his tight end, Ryan Griffin. And Griffin tripped up at the 48-yard line after a pickup of 6. Anderson split out to the bottom of the screen as Lamar Miller gets the carry, trying to pick his way forward, and he runs into a host of Patriots up the middle. David Harris and Patrick Chung both there to help make the stop. Four-man pressure for the Patriots. Savage able to elude the rush. Savage throwing on the run, and he's got Steven Anderson for the first down. Each of their first two possessions against this Patriots defense. Encouraging sign from the Texans offense early as Tyler Urban gets the carry and plows forward to the 34-yard line. A 3-yard pickup on the play for Urban. 2nd and 7. Savage again with time, throws, juggled, caught by Urban. Good concentration by the Texans running back, able to stay with it after the initial bobble.
The pressure looking, he's audibly out of it.
They give to Lamar Miller, and Miller's got the first down. Needed one, and he got 2.5, just shy of the 25-yard line, first down. It holds for Savage. He finds Jalen Strong down to the 15-yard line in the arms of Malcolm Butler. Very close to another Texans first down. And on 2nd and 1, Miller again on short yardage has the first down.
Well, he just sifted through there, did Miller, to find the plus yardage, about 3 or 4 on that play.
Patient and wait for that hold open.
Yeah, it's really tough. These guys on defense are quick as hiccups, man.
Lamar Miller trying to work his way forward, gets to the 9, a pickup of 2. 2nd down and 8. Savage again with time. Now flushed. Flag comes down, and Tom Savage throws it away.
Legal
For him is going to be
to the face, number 48, defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic
hands
first
to
down.
the face against Harvey Longy. Blue behind Savage. It'll be Blue who gets the carry. Alfred Blue trying to back his way into the end zone down to the 2-yard line. Savage to the air. Pressure coming. Throws. Strong up to get a touchdown.
one matchup, you can forget about it. The ability to make a talented defensive back miss him.
Catch in the back corner of the end zone for a touchdown in those joint practices a few days ago. The extra point is up, and it is good.
And for Savage, the good news is last week he had that 13-play, 75-yard drive that took 7 minutes off the clock. Good to see him stacking them like this. You know, since 2014, no team in the league has won more games in that context.
Brady toward the sideline. Is it intercepted? It is. The catch made by Andre Howe. What a pick! An interception on the field. Walt Anderson is going to tell us.
After reviewing the play, the defender failed to gain firm control of the ball while he was inbounds. Pass is incomplete. It'll be 2nd down, the 25-yard line.
I'll watch it again.
Well, you can see that the left foot comes down, but it's the control issue. He brings the ball down fast, but he does not seat that ball and show control of the football. You know, we're looking at the feet and everything else. It really doesn't matter if he got either feet or both in. The fact that he did not have control of the ball is where they were able to clearly overturn it.
New life for the Patriots offense at the 25. Brady to give to Burkhead on 2nd down, and a flag comes in late as Burkhead picks up a couple to the 27-yard line.
5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
From the 32, delay handoff to Rex Burkhead, and Burkhead down just shy of the 35 in the arms of DJ Reader. Taken away. For full bios and stats on each Texans player, visit HoustonTexans.com. 2nd down and 7. Brady to the flat. Rex Burkhead up the sideline. That's his strength, catching the ball out of the backfield, and Burkhead able to scoot up the sideline to the Texans' 49-yard line.
The most of your summer at the Rams Summer Clearance Event, going on now.
Back to live action. Tom Brady finding Rex Burkhead to start the 2nd quarter. And Burkhead with a first down to the Texans' 37-yard line. Edelman the motion man on 1st down. Burkhead the carry again. And Rex Burkhead down near the 33-yard line. A pickup of 4.
Done that so far tonight. They just need to continue that theme.
2nd and 6. Burkhead to carry once more. Hurdles a man and down inside the 30-yard line.
Right personnel on the field of the Texans and matched up. Let's see if they make them pay for it.
On 3rd and 3, quick toss. Danny Amendola with the catch and a first down at the 24. Burkhead to carry once more, and he slips forward for a yard to the 23. Down and 8. for Tom Brady and the Patriots. Down 7-0. Brady over the middle. Catch by Burkhead. A lot of room. And Burkhead into the end zone for the touchdown.
There you saw another example of matchup problems, again, that they can cause you with personnel. Cunningham, the rookie, got shook on that particular play. That's just the best way to explain it. Again, you get an open space against an athletic back, despite the fact that comes with a lot of reputation.
He has been a boost tonight for this Patriots offense. His 2 series, and that means we're about to see the first-round pick, the rookie, Deshaun Watson.
See what the reaction is going to be emotionally in this building when that happens. Get some live here on this series, they'll open things up.
On first down, play action. Watson. And Watson trying to outrace Harvey Longy to the edge. Second down and 9. Quick slant. Anderson, the good catch, had to reach behind him to make the grab at the 32 in front of Eric Rowe. Third down and 3. Watson, quick toss. The catch made by Rashawn Allen. The tight end fumbles the football. It's scooped up along the sideline by Gilmore. Gilmore upended by Deshaun Watson as he gets down near the 5-yard line.
Once you seat it, it needs to be in your left hand. He never seats it properly. Ball comes out. Never had control.
And that's going to be the question. Did he ever have complete control of this?
The ruling on the field is a catch, fumble, recovered by the defense. First down, New England.
Ruling on the field is catch and fumble by Rashawn Allen.
He was in the process of turning upfield, making a football move, but I'm not sure if he ever had control.
Reviewing the play, the receiver never has control of the ball. It's loose, it hits the ground. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down at the 32-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 11.
Which was having a career year last year. They got to get the consistency back.
Leckler punting to Cyrus Jones. Has been good in the return game early for the Patriots. Jones finding a little running room on the near sideline. Jones continuing to be good in the return game for the Patriots as he gets it into Texans territory.
Sort that out. Larry Izzo, the special teams coach. You got to coach that one up.
Garoppolo to the air on first down. Floats it over the left side. The catch made by James O'Shaughnessy.
He's in a tough spot now.
Back to throw again is Garoppolo to the sideline, and Malcolm Mitchell ducks out at the 18. 2nd and 5, Lewis again, and Lewis caught from behind at the 20-yard line.
Behind that front line.
On 3rd down and 3, Garoppolo looking down the sideline, looking for Bolden, and the pass incomplete. Corey Moore came over to try to get a hand on that for Stephen Gostkowski. And Gostkowski right down the middle that are out tonight for the Texans. And Irvin, several yards deep, will take the knee, and the Texans will take the touchback.
Intensive rounds of chemotherapy. He still was trying to get his strength back just to get on the field. Remarkable story.
Yeah, what a moment for him last week to get out there and play once more.
And of course, he had to have the tenacity and family support to work his way through that. One of the great bright lights of this season so far.
Pass deflected by Alan Branch, who got a hand on that one.
Pressure.
Watson trying to step away from that pressure. A flag comes in as Watson is sacked back at the 28-yard line. Vincent Valentine.
There are fouls by both teams. Holding number 62, offense. Holding number 25, defense. Those fouls offset. Will replay 3rd down.
So a break for the Texans as Chad Slade called for the hold, but Eric Rowe
kind of sure things up. He's had a great camp.
Watson on 3rd down, trying to get to the corner, looking for a block, and Watson just muscles his way for the first. The running back, and Alfred Blue gets the carry on 1st down, and he barrels forward for extra yardage to the 43. Knocked the hat off Trevor Bates with the contact. Earlier that Pilates and yoga were a big thing that helped him in the offseason. I'm not sure which one helped him with the power there as he blows into the hole and gets to the 46-yard line. Watson over the middle. Ellington juggles, makes the catch, and now off to the races. Ellington, a little stiff arm down to the 20-yard line.
Get some extra yards.
Here's Irvin. stepping around Ely. And inside the 20, down near the 16-yard line. On the move in the red zone on 2nd down and 7. Here's Blue. Blue trying to fight his way upfield. Gets to the 13. A pickup of 4 before Malcolm Brown could get in there and make the stop. Down in 3 at the 13. Watson looking for Anderson in the back corner of the end zone, and not much there. Justin Coleman on the coverage for the Patriots. The areas that you pointed out a week ago that still can be improved upon. Fairbairn on from 31, and the kick is good. We're tied at 10. Excellent drive by the Texans, bogged down in the red zone, but they put 3 on the board. 10-play, 62-yard drive ties the game at 10. A yard deep, and out comes Dion Lewis. And Lewis, very shifty, able to get out near the 28-yard line. Jimmy Garoppolo back out for his 2nd series for the Patriots. Draw play. Lewis trying to fight his way upfield. He ran into the arms of Zach Cunningham, who looked awfully good.
Ready to shed and defend either the left or the right side.
Play action, Garoppolo to the sideline. Mitchell with the grab. Good tackle made by D. Virgin as Mitchell tried to work away.
Playing man straight across the board, back half.
Garoppolo off play action. Open down the sideline. The catch made, trying to tap both feet in. Couldn't get it
Moving
done.
on the field is an
Austin
incomplete
Carr,
pass.
the rookie from Northwestern. 2nd and 10. Lewis, big hole up the middle. And Lewis with a first down. On first down, Lewis again. Has cut in the backfield. A flag comes in as Lewis is down near the 41-yard line. Drummond and Dylan Cole.
Player missed. The Texans got to get him.
Number 97, defense. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Personnel-wise, how to match up.
Lewis on first down. Not much running room up the middle this time as he gets a yard, maybe 2, and a flag down again.
Legal shift, number 16, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
First down and 15. Garoppolo for Mitchell and cannot pull it in.
Not a surprise.
2nd down and 15. Trying to swing pass to Lewis, but that was well defended, Spencer, by the Texans all the way around.
It really was. The Texans got pressure, penetrated as they sort out the flag down on the field.
In the backfield near the 32-yard line.
Pass interference, number 94, defense. That penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
3rd and 15. Garoppolo throws short to Lewis at the 35. He's not going to get the first down. Down to the 32. He picks up 9. 51-yard field goal try for Stephen Gostkowski. He's 19 for 26 in his career from 50 yards or more. This one bending and through. Gostkowski's one of the best to ever kick in the National Football League.
More efficient and get some yards and put this offense in a positive light.
And the kickoff through the end zone, the touchback. First down, 4-man rush. Watson over the middle, and that incomplete. He had 2 receivers in the area, Ellington and Bayless. 2nd and 10 at the 25. There's Irvin with the carry. Irvin trying to fight his way through the arm tackle of Longy. Gets 4 to the 29-yard line.
You won in there in 2 minutes.
They'll mark it to the 30. A 5-yard pickup leaves 3rd and 5 for Houston. Off the fingertips of Bruce Ellington, incomplete. And it's 4th down. The Texans, with 1:22 to go until halftime, will punt it away. Leckler to punt it away. Cyrus Jones back for New England. Good punt by Leckler. Over the shoulder catch. Backs up inside the 10. And excellent coverage by Chris Thompson. What an outstanding play on special teams for Thompson.
You're playing for him. I don't care if you're not starting. You're an athlete.
Deep in the own end now for the Patriots as Lewis tries to fight his way forward. Gets to the 12-yard line. A pickup of 3. Curtis Drummond in there on the stop for the Texans.
You get to 2 Super Bowls along the way.
2nd down and 7. Draw play. Lewis twisting his way up the middle.
And defends against it, or if you're on offense, he finds a way to exploit defense.
On 3rd and 1, Lewis again. Penetration in the backfield by Dylan Cole. Now, with the punt, almost got there. Very close in the backfield. And now the ball die near the 38-yard line. That was Alfred Blue who almost got in there and blocked that punt. 5 seconds to go until halftime.
There's going to be a flag on the field, but
Illegal touching, number 42 of the kicking team. Player went out of bounds, was the first to touch the kick inbound. It's a 5-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. First down, Houston. Touching will actually be declined because the spot of the touching was at the 44-yard line, and that's 1 yard better than it would be at the 43. First down.
That's what they're going to do. So the knee taken by Deshaun Watson, and the Texans on their way to the locker room, trailing 13-10 here at the half.
you don't get it with that first wave. That's when the integrity historically for this cover unit has broken down. This is a low liner, so it's going to be returned unless it goes out of the end zone. That's the type of ball that can hurt you, though, because it's a low liner, not much air underneath it. You can return those very quickly.
From the 25-yard line on first down, Garoppolo to the air, and he finds O'Shaughnessy, the tight end, to the 31 and picks up 6. Second down and 4. Bolden runs right into the teeth of that Texans defense and finds it very tough sledding. Third down and 3. Garoppolo, sliding catch is made at the 42-yard line by Tony Washington. From the 41-yard line, Bolden to the edge. And Bolden with a good run. And the veteran Brandon Bolden into Texans territory down near the 46-yard line. Bolden again. And upended at the 46-yard line. It was Roberson who took the pins out from under Brandon Bolden with a flag down.
The flag is maybe holding.
Number 70, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Swung back and forth between right and left guard, called for the hold. First and 20, pressure comes as they set up the screen, and that pressure forcing maybe a beat earlier throw. Second down and 20. Trying to find a little bit of running room is DJ Foster. 10 line this quarter brought to you by BHP. Long way to go. Third and 16. Garoppolo in trouble and he's sacked. Ricky Hatley was the guy that gets credit for the sack, but Garoppolo was in trouble almost from the snap.
Goes away from the release of the quarterback. That's quality defensive work.
Back deep to the Texans is Ellington from the 3-yard line. Ellington, good first move, and he makes something out of a little bit of a problem. We've got a flag down.
The kick, holding number 50, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick will be first down, Houston. Timeout.
Deontay Foreman right onto the field and right into the fray as Foreman gets his first carry. Nick Martin, starting center, back out to work for the moment for the Texans. On second down, Foreman again caught in the backfield by Elandon Roberts.
Rushing for plenty of time.
Watson looking up the sideline, a lot of contact, and the pass incomplete. One-on-one out there between Chris Thompson and Justin Coleman.
Has got to find a way to squeeze this field with a directional kick, either to the right, and that it's in the middle of the field makes it tough.
That one hit the up back, the ball loose on the turf, still bouncing around at the 41-yard line. The short punt from Leckler, and the Texans are saying they have it. It bounced off, I believe, Justin Coleman.
I'll tell you what, that'll get you an apple and a roadmap in a hurry. If they had lost that ball, Coleman needs to be aware of where that ball is all the time. I mean, again, he didn't know what's going on. He's not even looking at the ball. You got to have your head in the game.
Holding penalty called after all of that against New England. First down, quick toss to O'Shaughnessy, who's seen a lot of time at tight end tonight. For sure up there tackling. Second down and 5. Bolden stopped in the backfield. Excellent penetration by the Texans. You saw Daniel Ross, CFL vet, trying to make it in the National Football League as Bolden gets the carry on the delay, and Bolden fights his way for the first down on 3rd and 6. Four-man rush. Garoppolo with time, looking deep for Austin Carr, and the pass incomplete. Second down. Garoppolo over the middle. Diving catch is made by O'Shaughnessy, who's got a first down near the 30-yard line. There's Cole again on the stop. Brandon Bolden. Bolden stacked up at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Garoppolo, quick toss over the middle. Austin Carr with the grab down to the 24-yard line. The tackle made by Tony Washington. Third down and 4. Garoppolo with time. And they let O'Shaughnessy a little too far. The pass incomplete. And it's fourth down. 2-yard field goal try for Stephen Gostkowski. And Gostkowski able to put this one through. And he doubles the Patriots' lead from 3 to 6. Gostkowski's kickoff. Deontay Foreman back deep for the Texans. He'll field and take a knee, and the touchback out to the 25-yard line for Houston. Touchback percentage on kickoffs. First down, the toss off the fingertips of Chris Thompson. Pass incomplete, and it's second down. There's Foreman. Makes one tackle in the backfield and then drags along Jonathan Freeney with him for a few extra yards. Down and 2 at the 33. Quick drop. Oh, hit that right in the window to Foreman, and Deontay Foreman on the run. Foreman breaks the tackle. Foreman inside the 10 and finally muscled out of bounds inside the 5 as Coleman saves a touchdown. An explosive play, rookie to rookie.
Well, you can see again getting the ball in the talented player's hand. Number 1, gutsy call, gutsy play and delivery by number 4, and then you see the ability to put people in his back pocket. That was a linebacker and then a safety guy that had come up that he ran completely away from. I told you offline that I think he's the type of guy that's a starting running back in this league.
He was sparked from Foreman. The give to Foreman. And Deontay Foreman down near the 2-yard line in the arms of Adam Butler.
Steady performance.
Second and goal to 2. Watson, elusive and in for the touchdown.
There's simply no solution for number 4 when that happens. Restricted in the red zone, the playbook explained. Bates had no idea he was going to go back underneath it. They had him outflanked, but he comes underneath the immediate pressure.
Novak for the lead, and the Texans by 1. Good kickoff. Nice touchback taken. Patriots to work at the 25-yard line. Jimmy Garoppolo still in at quarterback. Tom Brady started. Pressure coming. Garoppolo hit by Washington. Ball pops out. Godin looking for it on the turf at the 21-yard line. And the Texans have it. Tony Washington with the hit. Matthew Godin with the recovery.
Boy, he comes hell-bent for election off of that outside. You can see him unblocked. Garoppolo's eyes are oriented toward the wide side of the field. And again, Washington makes him pay for it and coughed it up. Garoppolo never saw it coming.
Nance back out there at center again. Leading off play action. Nobody open. Throws it short, and the pass incomplete. Looking for Wendell Williams.
Got good pedigree out of Oklahoma State.
The shotgun snap and off the fingertip of Chris Thompson at the 22-yard line. Leading. Floats it over the middle. The catch is made by Riley McCarron, who's tripped up as he tries to get to the edge. Carrying on to try to extend the lead with the field goal. And it is right down the middle. Texans with a 20-16 lead. For more information.
Returnable.
Cyrus Jones trying to do just that. Good coverage by the Texans. Can't get out to the 20-yard line. Stacked up at the 17.
One of the things he likes the most about this year's version of the special teams, a lot more speed. They got to get better. He knows it. The rest of the squad knows it.
Can absolutely kill you on the return game. You've got bigger linebacker type guys blocking up front. And if you've got the right personnel and coverage, you can run by a lot of those guys.
3rd down and 1. The give to Bolden. And Bolden twisted down by Cunningham, but he gets the first down.
Tough, too.
From the 31, first down. Off play action. Garoppolo to the sideline. Austin Carr with the catch and a first down. 32% of the completed passes were completed to Carr. He's got some talent. We go back to the sideline, this time out of the backfield, the catch by DJ Foster. I'm winding down in this 3rd quarter as Garoppolo gets the shotgun snap over the middle. There's Carr again, and Carr down inside the 38 of the Texans with a first down. Start of the 4th quarter here in Houston. And on 1st down and 10, Garoppolo quick toss out of the backfield and down at the 35-yard line.
Hoping they can break one.
Delayed handoff, looking for running room up the middle. And the first contact up the middle came from Ricky Hatley, and that forced that run from DJ Foster back into the waiting arms of the rest of his defenders.
0 techniques, the pure nose tackle, and the 3 techniques are going to be in solid hands.
On 3rd and 7, Garoppolo throws short, catch made by Foster. Nice move and a first down. Foster able to get around Bryce Jones. Foster. That's a good name. I thought of Webster Slaughter for a while. Garoppolo over the middle. Again, there's Foster with the catch. Turns on the speed, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. 25 yards for DJ Foster from Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Patriots back on.
Conversation with Todd Graham last year when I had his game, and they loved the individual ability to play in zone or whatever. That was a man coverage route there, and they just worked on number 41. That's one of the more athletic guys on the field.
Extra point by Gostkowski. Right through. And as Chris Thompson takes a knee, the touchback will bring it out to the 25-yard line. Monte Foreman, the running back, he'll get the carry. Slip through 1 tackle down to the 27-yard line.
It's impressive.
2nd down, gets the carry again. This time in some trouble, and he runs into the arms of Vincent Valentine, who finished that one off.
Weeden can get this ball in the hole through this boundary here.
4-man pressure. Foreman on the edge. And Foreman unable to get away from Trevor Bates this time. Leckler to punt it away. Cyrus Jones back deep for New England. Wants everybody out of the way. It may have caromed off the heel of Jason Thompson. And on 1st down, play action, Garoppolo under some heat from Godin. And after the secondary pressure comes, he throws it, and it's intercepted by Denzel Rice. Rice down the sideline, and Rice tripped up at the 5-yard line. James Ferentz saved the touchdown, but Denzel Rice.
On that play, again, Ferentz had spent some time on the Texans roster last year. And again, Garoppolo, ill-advised pass. He just should have thrown that away, and Denzel makes him pay for it, and he's headed in the other direction.
Foreman on the carry. Gets out of trouble in the backfield. Foreman into the end zone. Touchdown.
Away from the uncovered guy. That was the key, because they had it anchored. Did the New England Patriots on the backside, and number 27 just does what he has done so well while as a collegiate player, beating one man.
A good night for D'Onta Foreman, who did not play in the first half. So all those numbers you saw have been accumulated in the second half. We've got to put touchdowns on the board, he said, and the Texans able to do it with D'Onta Foreman.
Texans not a very good team last year in the red zone. When they did find themselves in there, I mean, it was virtually non-existent, their ability to score with any consistency.
And on the interception that we just saw a few moments ago, your vertical has improved, hasn't it?
Yeah, I almost pulled my hammy, but very pumped.
You're having a lot of fun. Nice connection with him. It's a Philadelphia thing. You were back this summer with it. What's that connection? How much has it grown?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, he's a tremendous guy.
He has been awfully good. Certainly tonight, 2 possessions, 2 trips to the red zone, 1 touchdown as the pass from Jacoby Brissett off the fingertips of Glenn Gronkowski. We've got a flag down, and it's going to be a defensive hold against the Texans.
Pass, holding number 31, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Vertical jump underneath his feet.
You said it, not me. Foster bounced into the outside, and Foster down at the 31-yard line in the arms of Eric Lee. Kobe Brissett to the air. Catch is made and a first down. 7th round of last year's draft. On first down, Foster, another Sun Devil, tripped up at the 43-yard line. Good open field tackle by Brian Peters.
Calling the play.
Three-step drop for Brissett. Quick toss and a ball jarred out by Deku. Can he keep it in play? Cannot. But man, oh man, what a hit by Deku as he popped it out of O'Shaughnessy. Brian Peters just couldn't get over to the side of the challenge from Bill O'Brien. He wants to challenge the ruling that it was a catch and a fumble. He's challenging for field position here.
Absolutely, and why not? You know, this is a game-type situation, and this is the context where you want to try this. Preseason, there's no significant fallout as a result of it, so just go ahead and exercise. He's coaching like he would in the regular year. This is outstanding job. Great call.
Houston is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed
And
pass.
that's when you know there's a lot of ego involved in it. I know it's preseason, but nobody wants to lose this contest. Great form tackle by Tresson Deku, though. Make it all possible. You can see him drive, get that head across and up, get those legs wrapped up, and let Peters and company come in and try to make a play.
Now they're looking to see, was it controlled, was it a catch and a fumble? And
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of a catch is confirmed. Third down, Houston will be charged with their first timeout.
down and 3.
Nice pressure.
And the screen disrupted. The pressure disrupted it initially from Eli Anku, and then Tony Washington was in the neighborhood of the pass, and it's 4th down. Short punt by Allen. Takes a Patriots roll, though, and it'll go into the end zone for the touchback. You could almost tell the moment when Riley McCarron heard every coach in his life yelling at him not to touch that ball when it went inside the 5. We have a flag down.
Holding number 52, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Timeout.
1 yards, 12 penalties against the Panthers, but tonight 5 penalties for 26 yards. And that's an area that you know will please the head coach to see the improvement there. Played a huge role. Very smart, heady player. Whedon on second down finds McCarron. McCarron tripped up near the 14-yard line. Or swing wide receiver and running back in some circumstances as Whedon, with time, going to tuck and run. A flag is down. Whedon's got a first down as he slides down at the 24-yard line.
It's going to be holding, but again, Whedon show passes to step
Holding
up.
number 64, offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still third down.
3rd down and 13. Ogunbowale in some trouble, and Ogunbowale is going to be down at the 3-yard line.
Before a play like that becomes successful.
Left the punt from the end zone. Harris Jones from the 47. Jones. 2 nice plays to get around some defenders. Jones now reverses his field and finds running room. Caught from behind by Brian Peters as he got to the outside. Kobe Brissett back to work at quarterback. Over the middle on a sliding grab made. This play by Cody Hollister. Was able to slide down at the 25 and make the catch.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Second down.
Let's see if it's going to be incomplete. That ball is...
well, maybe right there. Brissett in trouble, and Brissett is sacked. Shaquille Rashad and 21 at the 49. Brissett, good protection this time over the middle. Leaping up to make the catch is Lucien, and now incomplete is the ruling. He did not complete the catch. The pass incomplete, and it's 4th down.
Brissett stand in that pocket with solid protection versus a 4-man front, and he just throws a laser. Lucien can't complete it. Ball is out.
Allen averaged nearly 45 yards per punt a year ago. There's that error that you talked about. McCarron with the fair catch made at the 15-yard line.
Play that you could actually spin the ball. You could use 2 hands. That's the version I'm playing.
Wale to the 21-yard line.
It was a good time. It was born out of basically we were trying to. It's a good run here by Ogunbowale.
Yeah.
We're
flagged
basically
down
trying to get some stuff going as far as our pregame graphics go. We have a pregame show, so we kind of killed two birds with one stone and just covered Foursquare instead of talking about football before practice. I mean, he didn't ever show any ill effects of diving. He wasn't hesitant, so that was good.
Lofting it up, looking downfield for Jermon Hopper. Quick toss to McCarron, fine play on the tackle made by Kenny Moore, the rookie out of Valdosta State. Sniffed that one out.
He really has. And again, this is a dangerous situation for the Texans. If you don't put this ball in one of the corners, put it in the middle of the field, that's a challenge.
A lot of hang time from Leckler. Jones fields at the 36-yard line. Jones hurdles a man at the 45, and Cyrus Jones stopped just shy of midfield.
Able to play more than just the 3 games of last year. They should be improved.
Brissett to the air. Lucien with the catch. Immediately, the tackle made by Marcus Roberson. Up on 2nd and 3. Brissett throws short. First down for New England. Not much room after that for Sam Cotton. Draw play, Foster. Breaks a tackle. Foster to the edge, and Foster forced out of bounds at the 20-yard line by K.J. Dillon. Patriots driving late, down 4. Brissett, incomplete. 2nd down and 10. Pressure coming. Brissett gets away from Peters. Chased by Lee, and Lee chases him out of bounds after a pickup of a couple.
Texans playing a deep zone.
Brissett throws it short. Foster again with the catch and a first down. Rashad on the stop, and a timeout used by New England with 49 seconds to play.
A pressure look has got to come.
Brissett, quick toss. Hollister, the intended receiver, out of bounds.
Off coverage down here, man. An out route is an easy completion.
2nd and goal. Brissett hit as he throws, and the pass incomplete. The pressure coming from Kamalu from the backside.
Hit by the defender forward. It's a fumble. Goes through the end zone for a touchback.
They're going to rule it a fumble and a touchback, and it's Texans ball.
I agree with that.
That stop you talked about, Spencer.
So watch it. Again, the ball is out of his arm as Brissett begins to cock it and puts it up. He continues with his throwing motion, but the ball was never in his hand once it came up around his shoulder area. So that ball was...
And Whedon will take a knee, and the Houston Texans get a win in week 2 of the preseason, knocking off the New England Patriots, who mounted quite a comeback the last time they were in this building in a game that held a little more importance, the Super Bowl, but they couldn't get the comeback tonight as the Texans win it 27-23.